grand tests. When to give your first GT, how to review it, how much frequency to give at, how to integrate it with your main notes. In this video, we're going to be answering all of these questions and everything that you need to know about the GTs. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For all of you who are new here, I'm Dr. Gursheen Kaur and I recently secured an All India rank of 1208 in this year's NEET PG. Since then, I have been creating content on Instagram as well as YouTube so that I can help you in any way to get to your desired goal. In this video, I'll be answering 5 questions that most of you have regarding GTs. Number 1, when to give your first GT. So guys, see, as I say always and I still say it now, that the best day to give a GT is today. I don't care how much preparation you have. I don't care whether you have studied all the subjects or you've studied one subject or 19 subjects. The best day to give a GT is today itself. I'll tell you why. See, what I feel is the lesser score you have in the baseline GT or the first GT that you ever give, the better. In my first GT, I just got 69 correct and I scored around 200 something. I mean, looking at that score, I knew there was a huge scope of improvement, right? So when you have that margin of improvement, you automatically feel that you want to study. Improving from such lesser score is easier than improving from a score which is like 400 or 450 in your first score. So do this for me today. No matter how many subjects you've studied, even if you've studied one subject, just sit down with this mindset that I have to give this exam in next 3.5 hours and I just have to sit through this exam. I just have to go through all the 200 questions. That should be your only goal. I don't care how much you get correct, how much do you score, but ultimately this will be your baseline GT, and after this we're going to do nothing but improve. Because imagine guys, the day you crack your NEET PG, so then you can tell your juniors that we started from the bottom and now we are here. So do it for this. Number 2, how to give a GT. See guys, the kind of mindset you need to have while giving a GT is the kind of mindset that you want to have on the exam day. Because every person who has given NEET PG can vouch for this, that more than this 1 year of preparation, what actually matters more is those 3.5 hours that you are there in the exam hall in front of the screen, and I think that is all that matters. That is all that it boils down to. If you are able to control your mind, if you are able to calm and compose yourself on the exam day in those 3.5 hours, the game is yours. So in order to do that, you need to train your mind from today itself. You need to give more GTs with the same mentality that you're going to have on the exam day, so that there's nothing new. You're not panicking over there, or you're not losing your calm. This is the reason that I suggest to give the GTs seriously. You sit down there and you behave like it's the actual exam, because that will help you, that will train your mind, it will build your instincts for the exam day, it will make you more confident and less panicky for the exam day. Number 3, how to review a GT. Now this is the most important step of giving a GT, because agar aapne GT diya and you fail to review it, that is useless. You gain nothing out of it. That is just total waste of time. Reviewing a GT is far, far, far more important than actually giving a GT. And also, most importantly, please review your GT the same day. Don't leave it for the next day or the next day or the next day, because फिर तो वो next day ना कभी आएगा ही नहीं. Once you give your GT, take a 1 hour break, eat something, watch something, and then sit down for another 2 to 3 hours to review it properly and just get done with it. Because I don't want you to be procrastinating things so much, to be keeping so many things for kal ke liye, because that kal will never come. So do it right now and get done with it. Once you start reviewing a GT, first questions that you have to see will be your incorrect responses. And now in these incorrect responses, you have to see the questions that you could have gotten correct because you've studied the subject, but still you got them wrong. So those are your potential questions, right? Those questions you cannot afford to miss. Maybe a silly mistake, or you misinterpreted the topic. Whatever the reason may be, I don't want you to get those questions incorrect. The second set of the incorrect responses will be the ones that will be the topics that you did not study, or the subjects that you did not study. The subjects that you did not study, what you have to do is you just have to note down the topics down, and whenever you are studying that subject, just go through these topics, that whether you have covered it in theory or not. The topics that you got incorrect in a subject that you have already studied, you just go through the explanation. You write down that topic in like 2 to 3 lines in your revision notes itself. You can make a separate copy also for GTs if you can revise. I mean, that's also a good approach. But for me, I always used to annotate it in the revision notes itself, because I knew that I want to have that one book which will be it for me till the end. Now, what some people do is they just go through their incorrect responses and they think that the GT has been reviewed. But guys, let me tell you, reviewing correct responses is extremely important. I'll tell you why. Now, there will be questions that you might have guessed, there will be questions that you might have answered through your instincts. I want you to go through that questions and just affirm it that you were thinking in the right line of thought. Your approach towards the question was right, and whatever instinct you had regarding that question, it was right. How it will help you is once you go through the correct responses, no, every time you give a GT, every time you see your correct responses, every time you see your guest questions, your instincts for the exam day become more stronger. And trust me, guys, they will help you on the final day. Our mind somehow will have studied it somewhere, will have seen it somewhere. Your brain will prompt you the answers. But whether you trust that answer, whether you trust your instincts, only be possible if you have given multiple GTs, like affirmed multiple times that yes, I was thinking on the right line of thought and I was thinking correctly. So I really want you to go through all your correct responses as well. It will take some time initially because right now we have not covered all the subjects. As you go on further, as you keep giving GTs, no, the time for reviewing a GT will become really less because then you will cover most of the topics. The questions, the topics will start repeating and you will start gaining that confidence that like we're there on the right track. Number 4, how to integrate GTs with your revision notes. Now, this is also extremely important. You do not integrate every question that you come across in your revision notes. Please don't start writing huge explanations in your revision notes, then your revision notes will become main notes and then you won't be able to revise it. So don't do that. Now, what topics you really need to annotate in your revision notes? Firstly, you have to see the percentage of correct responses. If there was a question that more than 50% people were getting correct and you got it wrong, that is a potential question, right? Go through the explanation and you annotate it in your revision notes in like 2 or 3. So I'll give you an example, guys. When I used to give a GT, no, I still remember there came this question from microbiology where we have further divisions, no, like photochromogens, photochromogens and examples. So the first time this question came, I skipped it, like thinking that it was not that important. But when it came in the second GT, I just went through the explanation and it did not annotate it. But then when it came the third time, I was like, this question is repeating, I cannot miss it. So that's when I actually went through the explanation properly and I actually wrote it down in my revision notes itself because this question was repeating. I mean, it's a potential question, so you cannot let such questions go. I mean, in your first GT, it's okay that the topics you have not read, you might skip it. But if that repeats again, then you really need to just go through the explanation and write it down in few lines. That's how actually you integrate your GT questions with your revision note. Number 5, the frequency of giving the GTs. Now, see, initially, giving GTs is not that much of a priority because your focus should be more towards completing the theory part. But I would really suggest that whenever you start your preparation, give a GT the day you start your preparation and then give a GT like every 20 days. Later on, as and when you start completing subjects, you just slightly increase the frequency of giving GT. Eventually, it's an MCQ exam. It will only help you if you solve more questions. So I would say when you start approaching closer to the exam, increase your GT frequency, right? Start giving them like every 15 days and start giving them like every 10 days because then the theory part will be done. Now the only game that will be left will be of solving the question. If I talk about me, I still remember, I mean, a lot of people say that don't give GTs closer to your exam, no need to test yourself closer to the exam. It's really up to you that whether you want to give a GT or not. But in my opinion, you really need to give GTs. I mean, especially closer to the exam because you do not want to break that momentum that you have built of giving the exams. I gave my last GT 2 days before the exam. And with that momentum, I went to the exam. I was in that zone already that, let's just consider it another GT. Let's just sit down and let's give our best. That's the kind of mindset I went within, and it was only possible because I have been giving GTs very consistently and I became kind of used to it. I've seen most people not giving GTs thinking that, they will lower their confidence or they won't score well and then they won't feel like studying, or the Marrow GTs are actually very difficult and they don't compare to the actual NEET exam. But I think all of the people who have given this year's NEET PG can vouch for this, that Marrow GTs were simpler than this year's NEET PG. So you have to be prepared for the worst, right? An exam is an exam. If it's difficult for everybody. If it's easy for everybody. And you always ask a difficult exam for yourself because that's where we excel. A difficult exam is actually a blessing, guys. Ultimately, guys, no matter how much you have studied, how much efforts you've put in, what matters is those 3.5 hours that you are there in the exam hall in front of the screen. If you mess up those 3.5 hours, the game is gone. Then nobody is going to ask you how many hours did you study, how much efforts did you put in, what were you doing. Even if you're a topper, nobody will ask you this. But if you manage to stay calm and composed during those 3.5 hours, if you manage to control your mind in those 3.5 hours, you'll be a winner, you'll ace it. And to be that calm and composed in those 3.5 hours, you have to keep training your mind every now and then for the exam day. And that is only and only possible if you give more tests and if you give it with the mentality as if you are giving your final exam. That's it. I wanted to answer all the questions regarding to GT. So in case you have any other questions regarding the same, you can always comment down below or DM me on Instagram. I'll feel happy to answer them. So yeah, till then, as I always say, keep studying, keep pushing yourself, keep giving GTs. There are a few months left now. The exam is supposed to happen in June and we cannot let this one go. We have to push ourselves, guys, because what lies after June is amazing. And I really hope to see all of you on the other side.